You're looking at a viewer's video of a tornado along Highway 45 in Noxubee County. A lot of damage, but no injuries. Details on a stormy Easter Sunday next.
WCBI News at 10 starts now.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Cash Matlock. Mississippi and parts of Alabama were hit hard today by severe weather. Governor Tate Reeves has issued a state of emergency in the wake of the storms. So far, there are confirmed fatalities in Lawrence and Walthall counties. We were lucky here in the WCBI viewing area. Our weather team has been working to bring constant updates throughout the day, and we were prepared. I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson for the first look at our forecast. Keith?
Well, Cash, that was round number one. We are in this gap here. This is our live radar at 10 o'clock. We have another line of storms coming on in from the west right now. Look at this over here west of 55, moving towards Batesville, Grenada, Winona. We have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings here for Carroll County until 10:30. For parts of Grenada County, also 10:30, Yallabusha County, 10:45. Wind gusts, the main concern here, but in general, we expect a lot of this to tend to pulse down a little bit going forward. Especially the southern half of this. The strongest part is actually across the northern part of this line. That's actually headed back towards Memphis and far northwestern Mississippi and Tennessee. So Grenada 10:06, Water Valley 10:16, Oxford 10:24, Eupora 10:40. If this line does hold together, it probably will, but it's probably going to gradually weaken as it continues slipping east of 55. We still have this severe thunderstorm watch for these areas outlined in the pink. That goes until 1 o'clock tonight. This big system is finally getting out of here. This is the last batch, and once that goes away, we should be home free. We'll have your full forecast in just a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Keith. Noxubee County was one of the harder hit areas today. Homeowners there took on some heavy damage. Our Stephanie Poole has more on the story.
Shattered glass, broken trees. This is one scene Aisha Cotton wasn't expecting to see this Easter Sunday.
It was something we've never experienced before.
Cotton says a tornado was the last thing on her mind when she purchased her home. Just minutes before it passed, her family took refuge in a nearby room down the hall.
But as the tornado was passing through, my mom and I, we were in the bathroom. It was very traumatic. But we just prayed and prayed till everything was over. And then after it was over, I came out.
That's when Cotton realized her world had been turned upside down. Broken windows, shingles from the roof, even tree limbs now cover her home. And across the road from her house, you can see a semi-truck turned over on its side.
Just in the past year, we had went to one traumatic incident with a previous home, so it was like all those emotions coming back over again that our home is destroyed.
But in the midst of this tragedy, she is grateful no one was seriously hurt.
Overall, we're safe. Praise God, we're safe. Life is short, and I counted all the blessings that each day we are here. If I had 1,000 tongues, I couldn't even explain how thankful and blessed we are, because it could have been much worse.
Cotton says all she can do right now is wait and pray that her home can be recovered. Reporting in Noxubee County, Stephanie Poole, WCBI News.
No injuries have been reported in Noxubee County so far. We've reached out to Highway Patrol and emergency management officials in that area. We're going to have more updates as they become available. Residents in Pickens County, Alabama also experienced severe weather this afternoon. WCBI's Bobby Martinez was in Reform, Alabama, where downed trees, blocked roads, and heavy flooding was the site for many folks in the area. He has more on the story.
Residents here in Reform, Alabama were on high alert Sunday evening after strong winds tore down trees and even barns like the one behind me. Pickens County Sheriff Todd Hall says the severe weather caused numerous roadblocks at the time.
We've had a lot of reports of trees down widespread. Highway 82 has been blocked in numerous places. Volunteer fire departments have been very responsive. All the local police departments and, of course, the sheriff's department have been out on these things, and we've been able to clear the roads. So.
As for the good news in the county,
fortunately, we have had no reports of any injuries at all and minimal damage to structures.
Paul says he has also been in contact with local departments in Carrollton.
I've talked with several of the people down there, and also the local departments have been very, like I said, responsive to the calls for service, but again, only tree damage and minimal structure damage.
And with the severe weather now having passed Pickens County, WCBI's meteorologist Trevor Burchett breaks down what took place in the county.
So we had a storm come out of Noxubee County that actually produced a tornado along Highway 45 just south of Brooksville. And when it came into Pickens County, that tornado warning continued. We had several indications of rotation just to the north of Pickensville. Fortunately, there was not any significant damage there, but certainly possible that some of the damage could have been caused by a tornado. But the National Weather Service is going to have to send teams out and take time to survey the damage to determine exactly what happened.
In Pickens County, Bobby Martinez, WCBI News.
County leaders are reporting damage in Yazoo County after severe weather sweeps through that area. Yazoo County EMA director confirms a tornado touchdown just north of Yazoo City this afternoon. CBS affiliate WJTV reports a vacant structure was damaged. Other damage includes several fallen trees and downed power lines. A response team has been assessing the damage since the storms hit. Several shelters across different counties opened up today to keep residents safe. In Lowndes County, emergency management officials have been preparing for severe weather over the past week. The Lowndes County School District Career Technology Center is one of the locations that opened their doors for locals to seek shelter during the tornado watches and warnings. They allowed people in around 1 o'clock this afternoon. Locals came in wearing masks and gloves to continue practicing social distancing. Shelter volunteers provided masks and sanitizer to anyone in need. Oktibbeha County also opened up their shelters today, but the threat of tornadoes wasn't the only thing on city employees' minds. With the spread of COVID-19, they have been taking the necessary precautions to make sure people were not only safe from the weather, but also from the virus.
What we're asking everyone to do when they walk in, we spray them down their shoes with disinfectant spray. Also, we do have the facial mask, we have the latex gloves, and also hand sanitizer. We want to make sure that our citizens are safe when they enter into a building of this capacity.
Almost 200 people showed up to the shelter today. An inmate serving life for capital murder dies Saturday at the Delta Regional Medical Center in Greenville. Mississippi Department of Corrections says 66-year-old Earl Lee Dykes was housed at the Mississippi State Penitentiary at Parchman. The cause and manner of death are unknown at this time, but no foul play is suspected. Dykes received the life sentence on August 10th of 1983 in Hinds County. He also was serving a 10-year sentence for rape. He was sentenced on November 11th of 1975 for that crime in Yazoo County. Well, the Mississippi Department of Health is reporting 139 new cases of COVID-19 today. The new positive cases brings the state total to 2,781 cases. 3 new deaths are also being reported today. Mississippi is now at 96 coronavirus deaths. 548 people are currently hospitalized with the virus, and over 20,000 people have been tested by the health department and private labs. Well, there are now more than 547,000 Americans who have tested positive for the virus and more than 21,600 who have died. But on this Easter Sunday, there's some hope for an economic resurrection. The county's top infectious disease expert says we might be able to begin reopening sections of society next month. Nicole Killian has the latest from the White House.
The sound of oxygen machines is hard to miss in the hallways of Mount Sinai Hospital in Queens, New York. Dr. Eric Bluttinger chronicled his day in the ER and says pretty much every patient has coronavirus.
I'm seeing young patients, old patients, people of all age ranges who are just incredibly sick.
In New York, the daily death rate is falling, 758 on Saturday, and the state's governor says the rate of hospitalizations, intubations, and discharges appears to be flattening. It's those numbers from the nation's pandemic epicenter that are part of the calculation to determine when the U.S. should reopen for business.
You know, I think it could probably start, at least in some ways, maybe next month.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, who's part of the White House coronavirus task force, suggests the nation reopen in stages, but some governors are pushing back. On CBS's Face the Nation, New Jersey's Phil Murphy said his state's healthcare system is on the brink, desperate for ventilators and personal protective equipment for frontline workers.
I fear, based on the data we're looking at, that we could be throwing gasoline on the fire.
A tally from the Associated Press also finds there's been an alarming rise in nursing home deaths, more than 2,600 from just 450 10 days ago. But hope for healing brought Christians together in spirit across the country to celebrate Easter. Some watched live streams from home while their pastor preached to empty pews. Some drove by their church for a sprinkling of holy water. At this church in Gaffney, South Carolina, congregants parked in the church's parking lot and listened to their pastor on a local radio station. But there was still an in-person service at Maryville Baptist Church in Kentucky, despite the state's ban on large gatherings. Police went car to car and recorded license plate numbers. Nicole Killian, CBS News, Washington.
Police in Kentucky also placed notices on each car telling the congregants that they need to self-quarantine for 14 days. No decision has been made about what to do with the recorded license plates. Easter morning was a little different for churches across the area this year. When we come back, an inside look at a local congregation's online service. Stay with us. Welcome back in, everyone. On Friday, we told you about the preparations of several area churches for conducting Easter services online. WCBI's Chad Groening reports on how Resurrection Sunday went for one of those churches.
For several weeks, Facebook has been the only way members of Faith Baptist Church in Sotelo have been able to view Sunday services. And with the continued shutdown of the country because of the coronavirus, this Easter Sunday found Senior Pastor Phil Ellis once again preaching in a virtually empty sanctuary.
It was weird in my mind, but progressively, this is the fourth or fifth Sunday we've done this, and increasingly it's helped me to realize that we're sharing this message with a larger following than what we see in the room here. So that's not so bad, just as far as the building goes.
Minister of Students and Education Mark Taylor admits it has been a bit strange talking to an empty room.
It's a lot different than anything we've ever encountered before, but the silver lining in that is we can reach so many people, and there's a great audience out there that are hungry to hear the gospel and to hear the message of Jesus. And I believe that through all of this, we are reaching more people than we would just in the building. But it's different. It's very strange not to be talking to a camera in an empty room.
For the congregation of Faith Baptist Church Sotelo, as well as hundreds of churches across Mississippi and thousands of churches across the United States, there is hope that it won't be much longer before these hallways are filled with worshipers.
I can say without doubt now and certainty that when the wheels begin to turn of our society again, and in the future when Faith Baptist Sotelo is meeting in the building, we will certainly continue our live stream platform for sure.
I really believe that this is something we can reach a lot of people. I know my generation and the generation below me have great tech ability, and this is their wheelhouse. They know how to use this, and they know how to use it in a great way. And so I think when we get started back on a normal schedule, that this can just add another layer to our church ministries being able to reach more people.
One of the persons responsible for the technical marvel of an online Easter service is audiovisual volunteer Martin Pitts, who says there was a lot of heartache getting everything to work.
There's a lot of issues will come up, and it's a lot of us trying to firefight and figure out what's going on, what's caused it, how to fix it, and if we can't fix it during the live stream, how can we make sure it doesn't happen for the next stream? So
Ellis says overall the Easter online broadcast went very well. Chad Groening, WCBI News, Sotelo.
The church says they reached 1,400 people with today's broadcast, and they expect more will watch it online in the coming week.
Well, some severe weather earlier today, but we've got one more batch to go through. This line of strong thunderstorms producing some gusty winds, heavy rain, and hail. We'll tell you exactly when this is going to get out of here, coming up right after this.
WCBI First Alert AccuWeather Forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Let's go back to 3:35 this afternoon in Knoxville County. That blue dot right there along Highway 45, that was the tornado debris. Again, the tornado touched down, lifted debris. That's what we detected. We were tracking the storm in real time right here on WCBI TV. There's our tornado reported. But the complex started in Texas, moved all the way across the region, and has been producing tornadoes in Georgia to our south in southeastern and southern Mississippi. Big, violent tornadoes down that way. It's going to be interesting to see what the Weather Service rates as those as far as intensity is concerned. Now, we have a couple of warnings still in play right now. This goes for areas in Lafayette County near Oxford, Water Valley, Coffeyville. You've been under the gun with some gusty showers here, and those severe thunderstorm warnings have been extended to Bruce and Calhoun City and Bardaman. We also have this line arcing back through Winona. This has had a history of wind gusts of 60 miles per hour. It's momentum driven right now. It doesn't look that impressive on radar. It is moving east quickly. So heads up in Bruce by 10:30, Houston by 10:49, Eupora by 10:39, New Albany by 10:51. This is gradually weakening as it's moving east, but it's still producing some gusty winds. So we'll continue to follow it. The tornado threat next to 0. We've also had some heavy rainfall. Look at this in southwestern Winston County today. All that high water due to the fact that we've had 3 to 6 inches of rain here in Winston County and really a good 1 to 5 across a good chunk of the region. So that's what's been going on here, Trevor, and we really caught that action in Louisville. Check out the time lapse here.
Absolutely. I mean, you were mentioning anywhere from 3 to 6 inches in Winston County. You can see that on the Alpha Insurance Camera Network time lapse. I mean, several rounds of gully washers, some very heavy rain, a couple rounds of severe thunderstorm warnings, some small hail in Louisville. Really, Winston County just kind of got a little bit of everything today, but a little bit of a break now, as Keith mentioned, now that these first round of storms has moved out. We do have that second round to contend with here in the next 3 to 4 hours. Low of 57 as you wake up tomorrow morning. I'll show you that on Futurecast. So here's 10 o'clock. There's that line of storms right there along I-55. That's going to be further into our area by about midnight. See, by midnight, I think most of us here in the Golden Triangle could see some gusty winds, maybe some small hail or heavy rain. And as Keith mentioned, we are not really too concerned about tornadoes with this batch of storms. This is kind of the end-all, last case. Like, we don't have to worry about this much anymore. Can't rule out an isolated tornado, but I really don't think that is what we are concerned about. Our main concern with this is going to be some gusty winds as that rolls through. It gets out of here pretty quickly, though. By 2 or 3 in the morning, we are dry, and as you wake up on Monday morning, we are going to see a few clouds out there, but it is going to shape up to be a really nice day. A mix of sun and clouds through the day. Highs a little cooler, only in the mid-60s tomorrow, and really we're going to stay cool for the next few days. Low 60s for highs on Tuesday and Wednesday, nearly 10 degrees below average where we normally are this time of year. So really beautiful weather coming up for the next few days. Temperatures going to stay fairly cool, though, only getting up to the low 70s by the end of the week. Our next best chance of rain hangs on until the weekend with highs in the 70s. We're back with more after this. Stay with us.
Welcome back. When most people think about severe storms, they think about lightning, wind, and tornadoes. But on this week's WeatherWise, meteorologist Trevor Burchett takes a look at another aspect of thunderstorms that can also cause significant damage.
Hail isn't something we have to deal with very often around here, but when we do, it can certainly be destructive. But how does hail form? Interestingly enough, hailstones begin as regular rain droplets. As the rain falls through the cloud, it's sometimes caught up in what's known as the updraft, rapid rising motion that is stronger in more powerful storms. This rising motion suspends the raindrop far up in the cloud, where temperatures are actually below freezing. Raindrops begin to stick together and freeze, creating these hailstones. Now, eventually, the hailstone becomes so heavy that the updraft can't support it anymore, and it falls to the ground. Now, depending on how strong this updraft is in the storm, hail can range from pea-size to even much larger. As a matter of fact, in 2010, 8-inch sized hail fell in South Dakota. Now, that will definitely do some damage. Now, do you have a weather why that you want answered? Submit your questions to us, and you might see them next week. For now, I'm meteorologist Trevor Burchett.
WeatherWise is brought to you by Fort County Electric Power Association.
Welcome back. The CDC has found that people with chronic medical conditions are at a higher risk for experiencing more serious complications from the coronavirus and are also at a higher risk for death. 3 major conditions they highlight are heart disease, diabetes, and lung disease. Mississippi is #1 in the nation for people who have or could develop diabetes. Our DeAndrea Turner talked to a dietitian about how people with diabetes can stay healthy right now. She has more on the story.
If you have diabetes, your risk of getting COVID-19 is no higher than anyone else. But the problem lies with the seriousness of the virus once infected. However, there are some ways to reduce this risk.
First things first is going to be prevention. So following those CDC guidelines.
Like staying at home, avoiding large crowds, and refrain from touching one another. Dietitian Sally Kate Collins says another way is to maintain your blood sugar levels.
Piece of that is going to be just making sure that you're controlling your blood sugars. Just being as healthy as you can be while this pandemic is going on.
When it comes to filling your medications,
The drive-thrus, that's also available. If you've got any access to a delivery service that can bring in your medications, that's also going to be nice for you to take advantage of this time.
the most important thing is to make sure that this isn't the time that you slack off on your diabetes plan.
You're going to want to continue to control your carbohydrate intake. You want to make sure that you are also exercising like you normally would, taking those medications. Just follow the plan that you and your physician have set up to help control your blood sugars.
Collins also suggests to take a walk for proper exercise, but make sure to maintain proper social distancing.
Other CDC guidelines to protect yourself are to wear a mask when you have to go out in public. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this. Ringing awareness. The East Oktibbeha County Volunteer Fire Department is saluting all healthcare workers and those on the front lines fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. The department is challenging the Starkville Fire Department, Starkville Police Department, OCH EMS, the Oktibbeha County Sheriff's Office, and all other Oktibbeha County Fire Departments, that's a lot, to post a video ringing their bells. Challengers are supposed to stand 6 feet apart and ring their bells at approximately 6 p.m. Those challenged have until April 20th to post their response. Keith, that's a pretty fun challenge. I hope a lot of people will take part in that. It seems pretty cool.
Yeah, really cool right there. We are watching storms right now arcing from Collierville, Tennessee, down to Bruce. This has a history of damaging wind. It's losing some momentum, though, but we still have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings. They're crawling at the bottom of your screen. Holly Springs, New Albany, Pontotoc, Houston, Eupora, all in line here for at least some gusty breezes over the next hour or so. We'll be watching it. We're going to go over to Facebook Live after the show.